Hey everybody, this is Lynn from Evil Dread, and we're just here to tell you before this episode that we will be getting into some pretty intense subject matter. We are talking about sexual assault in the context of film and horror movies, but it could definitely be triggering to some people. So just FYI, take care of yourselves, and if you are sensitive to issues of rape and sexual assault, please proceed with caution.
Hobgoblins and witches and things that go bump in the night.
Hey everybody, welcome to Evil Dread. I'm Lynn. I'm back.
Hello, welcome back. We've missed you.
Yeah, I took a week off to go visit my parents, so I left it in the capable hands of Alan Wyatt, though.
Well, I'm Wyatt, as you all are probably familiar with.
Yeah, at this point.
And this week we watched the strangest movie we've encountered to date.
Yep, it was my pick. I'll take that. I'll take
You
the
you
responsibility.
really swung for the fences on this one.
We watched Bang Bang Baby,
Mm-hmm.
which is I think 2014 Canadian sci-fi musical period piece.
Kinda.
It's a little bit of all of those things.
With a little bit of body horror.
Yeah,
thrown in.
yeah. It's definitely like on the body horror end of sci-fi where there's like mutations and nuclear
Some real
fallout.
Cronenberg.
It was pretty gross. So, first impressions, I guess. We just watched it. This is one where we watched it 5 minutes ago and started.
The first half of the movie is, I was like, okay, this is all right.
I was about it, yeah.
Some fun 50s swinging musical numbers,
Yeah.
and then it takes a hard left turn
into
into depression.
Despair. It was very unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
So the story focuses on this girl named Steffi, and she's in high school in Canada, in a very small town in Canada.
No one sounded Canadian.
No, they didn't. But she wants to be a singer, so she records a song and submits it to this like Star Search kind of thing.
Yeah, like Dick Clark Bandcamp or wait, Bandcamp.
That's Dick Clark's American Bandstand.
Well,
And
that was a
was
real
in, like...
generational mishmash.
Yeah, generate American Bandcamp. But so she submits it to this contest. She gets accepted to go to New York, but her dad is like a terrifying alcoholic who is like
played by the even more terrifying Peter Stormare.
Yeah, which was very weird. I always picture him from Until Dawn, but also Fargo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he like is a completely non-functioning alcoholic, and she has to take care of him. She works in his like body shop in town, and she's in love with this guy named Bobby Shore, who is
Bobby.
He's great.
Not
really.
No.
I love him though. He is like a teen idol kind of like
This whole thing has a very
Frankie Avalon.
It's a very 1950s.
Well, it's like early
doo-wop.
60s.
Yeah.
Like it looks like a beach movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's film. I think it's very much like a weird, twisted version of like Bye Bye Birdie.
Okay.
Which is like a musical from the 60s, but so her dad like trashes her invitation letter, and he's like, "You can't go," so she's very sad. And she goes to a dance. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
Well, she's at the dance for a grand total of 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Before running out of the dance, and gets picked up by what's his face?
Fabian,
which is an awful name.
Yeah,
and an even
that
more
was
awful
the
character.
name of a 60s like teen idol. Was Fabian, but
this guy looks like Ryan from The Office if all his features were somehow sharpened.
It's like Ryan from The Office plus Crispin Glover, like at his creepiest.
Like if you were to pull the skin on his face back so that everything was more pointed and jagged, that's what you would get.
Oh my god. Well, he's kind of the nice guy in town that really wants
Nice
Steffi.
guy TM, not an
Yeah, he's
actual
not
nice
actually
person.
nice, but he's like the stereotypical nice guy.
I'm nice to you, so sleep with me.
Yeah, exactly. I expect a lot from you because I'm, kind to you. But he works at the like nuclear plant.
It's a chemical plant.
They call it the purple smoke plant. Because it emits purple smoke. It's very literal. But he's always like, "Hey Steffi, I'll take you on a tour of the plant or whatever." And she's like, "Okay, get away from me." And so she's drunk and very sad after this dance.
A-
Pardon me, I'm yawning. But
And she's drunk. She passes out in his car, and he takes advantage of
he
her.
straight up rapes her,
Yep.
which is very unexpected
That
in this
was
very light seeming movie.
that should have been our first red flag.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, is this gonna happen? I guess it's gonna
Oh,
happen."
we're going
Okay, I
there.
am horrified. Um, so yeah, she gets pregnant with a mutant baby.
Because while the rape is occurring, the chemical plant leaks,
Mm-hmm.
and
Purple smoke.
the purple smoke, as we mentioned, leaks out, and the town starts to mutate.
Mm-hmm. Everyone's like body is just, Fabian himself grows like a second mouth with like gross teeth that he has a duet with at one point,
He
which
sure
was
does.
pretty funny. So when she runs away from the car and she's like hitchhiking to go to New York, because she's like so traumatized and she just wants to get out of there and go to this like singing competition. And who does she find on the road but
But
Bobby Shore?
and his gay German friend.
Yes, who is like, I guess his like assistant or whatever. But so they break down in town, and of course they have to stay at Steffi in her dad's house. So Bobby Shore is now like, they start a thing and it's pretty cute, but all for naught.
They have some real numbers
Mhm.
together.
Oh, Bang Bang Baby, the like titular song is a bop.
It's a real hit.
I love it. Okay, it's awesome.
That was the point of the movie where I'm like, okay, I'm starting to enjoy this
Hell
movie.
yeah.
And the movie's like, oh,
Wait
really?
for that.
It would be
Wait.
a shame if something were to happen to the tone of this movie.
So they end up, Fabian keeps like stalking her kind of, and he's like, something's happening, people are mutating, we have to get married, I guess. I am so sorry. I don't know why I'm all of a sudden yawning. But and she's like, absolutely not, and they have a song where she's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Which
A
was
great
great.
musical, fuck you.
Yeah, but then while all that's happening, the town is getting quarantined. People are starting to mutate physically,
Mm-hmm.
and
Her baby is very active.
oh yeah, just like lots of under the skin pushing out kind
Rippling.
of shit,
It is.
which I'm
It is
not
rippling.
about. That there like quite a few things make me want to give myself an at-home hysterectomy, but this is one of them. Others would be like episodes of Dr. Phil where they're like, I can't control my teen. And I'm like, fuck that. No,
What?
it's not going to happen. So this definitely preyed on my fear of pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
But so she and Bobby are getting closer, and he ends up asking her to marry him and go on tour and be in all these movies together.
They have a very quick turnaround on from the proposal to
Oh.
the wedding.
5 minutes,
Which
like,
is
in film.
They
time.
invited what looks like the cast of freaks.
Yeah, like the entire town is now like,
Mutated.
being creepy and multiple mouths and hands and shit. So they get married, and Bobby, he's been trying to get in that pants though, like the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, no, not because she's like,
She doesn't want it. But...
yeah, but because she has this like scary thing going on with her abdomen,
Mm-hmm.
and she doesn't want him to know. So on their wedding night, he's like trying to sleep with her, and she's trying to like stop him, but it's giving her flashbacks to the night with Fabian, so she punches him in the face and he runs away forever. And I guess
what was the line?
You're trying to make me ugly. She punches him in the face, like, out of...
A very solid right hook.
Oh, yeah, and she gives him, like, a slightly bloody nose, and he's like, you're trying to make me ugly. Helmut, we have to leave.
Who Helmut was
the
definitely...
highlight of the film.
Oh, yeah. Of the very few highlights.
He was great. So I guess their marriage is over after
it dissolves
an hour,
and the illusion dissolves, and surprise, it's been all a dream.
I don't think it was though.
What?
I don't think it was.
I think it was just her delusion.
Okay, let's get in. Let's finish the plot summary and then we can get into it.
Okay.
We gotta parse this out.
This is where the twist comes.
Yeah. So she's dissolves and she's heavily pregnant, and Fabian's married to her, but he doesn't have wait, no. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So she's super pregnant, living with Fabian and her dad in the most depressing situation possible. She has the baby, and I'm gonna let you describe the baby because it physically pains me to do so.
It's like it comes out and it's talking and it has like a more hideous version of James Corden's face.
That's true. I'm thinking, you remember, okay, I'm not a proponent of this film, but in Breaking Dawn Part 1...
Again, and something else I was not expecting.
Bella has the baby, and it's like, they use like an animatronic baby in that movie that is uncanny valley to the nth degree. And I think they use both an animatronic baby and they have a regular baby with like a green screen sack over its head.
What?
What?
I feel like that's endangering a child.
I know, but it's like CGI imposed on a newborn to make it look more beautiful and adult and creepy, and it's like the scariest thing that's ever happened, and this was definitely on that level.
This is on a scale of like a normal baby to American Sniper baby to that. This is definitely between American Sniper and that.
Well, and it just has, I know who it looks like. It looks like the bald guy from Little Britain who was in like the Alice in Wonderland. He was Tweedledee and Tweedledum. It looked like one of him as Tweedledee or Tweedledum.
I also thought
as
that,
baby.
But I couldn't remember his name, so I just went with James Corden.
It's Matt something.
He's Doctor Who, Community. Yeah,
so it looks like that guy, like, as a baby. And it has, like, an adult woman's voice, just slightly higher. It's like, Mom, Mommy. And I'm like, ugh. Like, that was so viscerally disturbing to me.
The same annoyance level as, like a character in a Zelda game trying to teach you how to play the game.
Okay.
Over here. Hey. Over here. Hey.
And and she's like ready to kill herself at this point. Oh,
the suicide bottles so friendly provided by the Canadian government.
All these guys in hazmat suits come in and they're like, so sir and madam, if it is you're so inclined, here's some suicide bottles. Just drink it and you'll die.
No fee, courtesy of the Canadian government. Yep.
Yeah, these are provided to you free of cost.
The future Liberals want.
Honestly, yeah. But so she goes in. She confronts the baby and she's like, how are you talking? Why are you a baby who's talking? And Wyatt went to the bathroom during this part, so I'm going to have to like try to describe this very disturbing thing that happened.
I'm like, well, because I was not expecting the twist that I found when I came back.
Okay, so the baby's like, I don't know. And she's like, but what are you? And the baby says, I don't know, maybe I'm not talking, maybe I'm not real. And she's like, what? And the baby says, I don't know, I just don't want to be alone. Yeah, and Jane Levy is like, oh, okay, and she, like, has a moment, she kind of, like, snaps out of something, and it's a normal baby. And Fabian doesn't have, like, a mouth on his neck.
So, she has been, my theory is that her character has been just delusional this whole time in order to cover over the horrors of
So, post-rape, she made up that Bobby Shore came into town.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well then, Fabian comes in. That the only thing is that the suicide bottles still exist.
Mm-hmm.
So, because he tries to poison the baby.
I also don't think this movie has the best grasp on continuity.
Okay. So maybe there was.
It might just be like rat poison or something.
Yeah. Okay, so like we're not gonna win by trying to figure out what this movie is.
It's
Okay.
almost as if the logic
of Bang Bang Baby
is
doesn't make
inherently
sense.
flawed.
So she kills Fabian because he's trying to kill the baby. She leaves. She goes to New York City, and it's like 5 years later.
Wait.
What?
She says goodbye to her dad, who's like, "Goodbye, I'm going off to kill myself now."
He didn't say that, but he was like, "You're ready to leave."
He was in a tie, and he just like slowly walked upstairs.
Well, I'm fine with that. He had a very poor quality of life. He was like descending into deep alcoholism. I think he should have made that choice.
Wow. Okay. Or Alcoholics Anonymous. If you need help, get help.
He had a right to make that choice. How's that?
Okay.
I'm not advocating for suicide in any, unless you really want it and you're old. I'm like fine with like doctor-assisted suicide is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Not to get too political, but Jack Kevorkian was right. Anyway, that's my stance on that. It's illegal in California and Washington. Catch up, America. But anyway.
So Jane Levy leaves with her baby. You see her at like an audition.
In the late 60s, you can tell because now she has mod eyeliner rather than cat eye.
Wow, I did not know that was the way to use makeup for carbon dating.
Yep. So she's auditioning, she's singing her song that she sang at the beginning, and this guy's like, "We'll get back to you," and she's like, "All right," but she's not like destroyed, and she goes and she's in like a park in New York City, and she gets her 5-year-old daughter, and they go.
It's not New York.
Yeah, it is.
It's like Ontario.
That is the New York skyline, but in the 1960s, dude. That was
like
Empire State Building.
That was not.
Yeah,
that was. I'm pretty sure that was like a modern day Canadian city.
Agree to disagree. I think she went to New York.
I think that this was in the modern age all along.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah. So that's the plot of Bang Bang Baby. Now we can get to, I guess, our thoughts on it.
Well, I kind of shared my thoughts. So, what's your hot take?
I really wanted to like this movie a lot.
You've been jonesing for this.
Yeah. I saw the trailer when it came out, and I was like, this looks lit. I love it.
There's a lot of your aesthetics.
Yeah, and then I was reminded by it. I follow a lot of horror blogs, and there was a gift set of it on Tumblr, and I'm like, okay, we're doing it for Evil Dread. We got to do it. Put it on the list. I think it had such awesome potential.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the first half of the movie is so fun and weird and odd and just like a cult movie in the making. Like, there are musical numbers. It's shot like a high school play.
Oh, yeah. Same budget.
The blocking is so clearly, like, meant to be stilted and weird, and like her house, like the stair banister, like
the stairs have like 5 nails in it.
Yeah, it's so like poorly built and funny. And like at one point she leaves Helmut and Bobby in the garage to like go ask her dad something, and when she comes back, they're in the exact same position, not speaking, staring at each other until she comes back into frame, and they're like, "Hey," okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's so clearly supposed to be like a poorly done high school production of a Broadway show, like Bye Bye Birdie. I thought the idea was so there and so cool. But yeah, there's some tone issues, I think, is the biggest thing.
Yeah, it swings wildly from rape to carefree going down the highway with Bobby.
Yeah, yes, within 10 minutes. And I mean, like, looking back on it and thinking of it as, like, a coping delusion makes more sense, because it is right after that happens that she meets Bobby Shore. Yeah. And at the end of the movie, he's on TV.
but it's just the hard shift in tone at the middle point of the movie, especially when the transition to like it was all
all a
illusion.
dream.
Yeah, that made me like it a lot less because I didn't want to spend my Sunday afternoon with a rape movie.
No, of course. And okay, but when I told you about this, did you think it was going to be a rape movie? Because I did not.
Nope.
No, there was no indication that would happen in this movie. From like the marketing or whatever. I knew she got pregnant. I assumed it was his baby, Bobby's baby, and that they were trying to do this weird like literal nuclear family in the 60s.
Oh, I could see that.
And that would have been fun and weird and campy and cool, but it both took itself not seriously at all.
And then too seriously.
And then tried to be really weirdly dark and emotional in other places.
Yeah. The second half would have been strong if they had made like us care about these characters emotionally. Jane Levy's an awesome actress.
I love her. We were talking about how she's kind of one of the new generation of scream queens, which is a high compliment, and
she was fantastic in Don't Breathe and the Evil Dead
remake.
Is that what it's being called? Remake?
Reboot, whatever, the new one.
Yeah.
And she was in
Suburgatory,
which was really funny. She's in the new Twin Peaks for like 5 minutes, and then a bit part in I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, which we talked about a few weeks ago.
But this movie did very little favors to her.
I think she did the best she could with the material.
Yeah.
Like, she was trying to make it light and fun when it was light and fun, but also it was very much like treating really intense subject matter with like a late 50s melodrama sensibility. Like, it wanted to be both Bye Bye Birdie and a Douglas Sirk movie.
And it was to be neither. Like Revolutionary Road at the end.
Yeah, it was hardcore dark, dude.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It was tonally schizophrenic. Like, I'm having a really hard time grounding myself. That being said, the sections with Bobby and her and the musical numbers, I thought were super fun.
Yeah, those were the best parts.
Yeah, and I did like how it was visually clearly demarcated between, I guess, the real world or like her, terrible, depressing life.
See, if they had given us the movie that we were promised, it would have been a lot more enjoyable overall.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I'm not a big musical guy, but I thought, like, I can have fun, and if it's, like, making fun of itself.
Yeah, I talked to Al, and she was like, Wyeth doesn't like musicals, except when he does.
That's very true. I tend to not like them unless they're, like, sad, like Les Mis.
Yeah.
I'm also one of the 5 people apparently unaffected by the backlash of La La Land.
Okay, I didn't see it.
I thought it was good.
Okay.
It didn't deserve all the hype, but it's still a good movie.
So, are you saying La La Land is better than Bang Bang Baby?
In a heartbeat.
Well, what I was saying, like, I agree, but the visual flair for the kind of heightened 60s, like, musical Grease style sections were so fun. It was so bright and colorful, and, like, even how it was like shitty production value.
Yeah,
they
$50 budget.
That.
There was a sense of fun.
Yeah, I loved it, and then it got so dark and gray and weird and just unclear as to what was happening.
Yeah.
It's one half of a good movie.
It's like 1/3 of a good movie.
Boy, okay, I'm giving it a little bit more credit. We are agreeing though on this movie, which is a rare feat.
I think. Yeah, that's true. It's pretty rare.
Yeah. I don't know.
I was caught off guard. Easily the weirdest movie
that we've done
to date,
which is saying a lot.
Considering we started this podcast with The Wailing.
Well, I'm thinking Nightmare 2.
That was, but at least that was like a coherent entity.
Well, I think as part of a like slasher series maybe, but as a film I don't think it was coherent at all. But yeah, I agree. This one was weird as shit, dude. Also funded by the Canadian government. Love those Canadians
They fund a lot of
of weird
surprise
stuff.
things. Cronenberg's early movies were funded.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Shivers, which is
Mhm.
about sex-crazed parasites.
Love it.
So, yeah, good
One
old
thing I
Canada.
was thinking about, and this is kind of off topic, but also not, I guess. The whole, like, the rape situation, terrible, awful. It wasn't exploitatively shot, though. It wasn't, like, graphic.
It hinted
Hmm.
way more than it showed. It
Yes.
barely showed.
However,
Barely showed.
I was thinking while I was watching it, and I bet you didn't expect to be hearing about the Golden Girls on this horror movie podcast.
I was not.
But you're about to. So in the Golden Girls, Dorothy, one of the older women, like, she got pregnant when she was like 17
Mhm.
with her boyfriend's Stan, and they ended up having to get married, and they were married for like 40 years or something. Then she finally got a divorce. But they, like, in one of the episodes, her mom is like, if you just would have kept your legs closed, and she was like, I was drunk and he raped me in the back of our
Oh my
car.
God.
But, like, she doesn't use the word rape because it's like, I don't know. I feel like that situation,
Mhm.
like, was not taken as seriously
I mean, we're
in that time period,
we're still
in like the 50s and 60s.
we're still dealing with men like judges who grew up in that era
Mhm.
asking women in court like, why didn't you just fight him off, or
Yeah.
why didn't you just do this?
Mhm.
What were you wearing?
But it reminded me a lot of in the movie and in that show, you're just expected to marry him
Mhm.
and be with him for the next 40 years
Blah.
if, you know, he took advantage of you and you weren't, you know, able to consent
Mhm.
and you were in a, you know, different, like, inebriated mindset. So that was very sad to me.
Yeah, this movie is very sad.
Yeah. And, you know, it even in that show, which was late 80s, they were like, oh, you just get married and go on with it, and you
Mhm.
still have him in your life when you're, you know, 70 years old, and he's the father of all your children.
Like, even though this movie ends on she overcame the small town gravity of
Yeah,
her
yeah, yeah,
situation
yeah, yeah.
to chase her dreams, it's like she didn't have to go through all that.
No, absolutely
extra
not.
stuff.
And it really took the magic of the movie being revealed to be like her delusion is the biggest, like, punch in the gut to the viewer ever.
Mhm.
I did not like that at all. Yeah, I just want a movie of the delusion as, you know, reality.
Yeah.
I want that movie. And I want the movie I had in my head where he comes to town on, like, kind of a Bye Bye Birdie American Bandstand kind of thing and gets with her and decides to stay, and they have sex and she gets pregnant, and it's like a mutant baby, but it's all fun and light and cool and
I was
funny.
expecting this to be like he comes to town at the same time of this outbreak,
Mhm.
and they have to like fight the mutants to get out
That
of
would
town.
be so good, dude.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. And I just, I kept wanting her to get an abortion. I'm like, it's the early 60s. I know, it's not legal yet, but, like,
the health
take care of
standards.
yourself, honey. Like, don't be carrying, like, a monster baby that is fighting its way out of your,
Out of your stomach area region.
I just blanked on, like, a body part in my own body. It's not a urethra. That's not it. Uterus. It sounds similar. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm a woman.
So here's a difficult question that I've been
Ooh.
thinking about.
Okay.
How should art deal with like a serious issue like rape?
I think not in this way. Like, obviously,
Agreed.
but I think it's something that needs to be talked about and represented, obviously, because it is still such a big issue. The rape culture is still rampant in America, and you see that by, you know, Brock Turner and
Mhm.
Daniel Holtzclaw in OKC, which is kind of where we're from, which was a horrible, horrible
Yeah.
thing. But to me, something like the first thing that came to mind when you asked was like The Hunting Ground, which was a documentary
Mhm.
about campus rape and about survivors of sexual assault who now like advocate and talk to people and go around and are trying to make legislation happen. I don't think it's fair to say you can't address it in fiction or fictional film, narrative film, but you are treading on
Mhm.
some really difficult ground and you have to be super conscious of like survivors who may be watching it, of the messages you're sending. And I don't think this film set out to send a negative message. I think it's clear that the person who assaulted her is like a terrible person
Mhm.
and she, gets her revenge and says so. But I think in horror, it's so intrinsically tied to the rape revenge narrative. Like that's
Yeah.
the only narrative we see in horror, which I'm thinking I spit on your grave,
Like it's almost like
Last House on the Left.
an empowerment
Yeah,
plot device.
which I mean, I think can work. I think rape revenge movies can work
There's a
as long as they're
movie
not
coming out about
sexualized.
that called, was it MFA?
Ooh,
It's
I
it's
don't know.
about this girl who gets taken advantage of at a party,
Mhm.
and she's a college student, and the college covers it up,
Mhm.
and she realizes that a bunch of like tons of other rape cases on
Mhm.
campus were covered up, so she starts hunting down all the boys.
Ooh. Okay. Okay.
Um, I I saw the trailer and I was split. Like
Yeah.
this could be either done really well
Mhm.
or exploitive.
Yes. That's how I feel about most rape revenge movies. I think something like I Spit on Your Grave, just by virtue of its like poster and how it was marketed, was
It's
sexualizing rape as
mm-hmm.
something kind of tantalizing and then adding to that sensationalism with violence and her kind of it's not about her reclaiming her power, it's more about getting to watch a hot girl get raped and then kill those who raped her because like the poster for I Spit on Your Grave is like basically her bare ass from
Mm-hmm.
behind, like cutting her like only her torso and her clothes are ripped, like almost ripped all the way off, and it's very like a Playboy shoot of a
Yeah.
horror movie promo, which is disgusting. But also, I think it is empowering and kind of like wish fulfillment fantasy in a non violent way for survivors,
Mm-hmm.
right? To watch stuff like this. I mean, I'm an abuse survivor. I find a lot of, reflections in horror movies of kind of wish fulfillment and taking this, like, you know, violence or abuse and kind of turning it around and making it a reclamation of power and saying, I am strong and I can defeat these things that have hurt me and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I think it has the ability to be really great,
Mm-hmm.
but
But it is not the case.
yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with men directing or writing
Mm-hmm.
who don't fucking know. Like,
Yeah. Like, did you ever see the Millennium series? The girl with the dragon tattoo.
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
What are your thoughts about that?
Um,
Because I thought Elizabeth Salander is a very strong
yeah,
protagonist.
yeah, I agree. I was very disturbed by that rape scene,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. Um, I don't know. Her revenge didn't feel celebratory, I guess. It felt very like I don't know. It made me feel icky, I
Yeah.
guess. Also I think it was on the part of Stieg Larsson by having her and the main guy whose name escapes me, like the Daniel Craig character.
Yeah.
They sleep together, and in the book they have kind of a relationship or whatever. Not that, as a woman you can't sleep with whoever you want, obviously, but in the function of a narrative that a woman's decision is like imbued with the motivations of the writer,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I don't know. I didn't believe that she could immediately become sexually available to this guy right after this super traumatic, terrible thing happened to her. You know?
I'm not sure about the time frame.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I
I
get
don't
that.
know.
Yeah, it's rough in culture because I mean, I don't think it should be something that doesn't get discussed and
Mhm.
just gets swept over.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it should definitely be dealt with better.
Yes. Honestly, I know we talked about it for like 2.5 hours, like last time I was on, but I think that handles it well. Because
Mm-hmm.
you know what's happening. You know that Bev is being sexually abused by her dad, and it's so heavy and loaded, but it's not exploitative, and she reclaims her power,
Mm-hmm.
and you realize it it's this word has become so tainted by assholes on the internet, but it's not triggering, to the
Mm-hmm.
point of you're seeing all of this happen to her. You're just seeing the psychological effects and how detrimental it is to her.
Yeah, it focuses more on her character, not on what happens to her.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And I mean, even you infer things from what is shown in the film that makes it seem so much worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, not worse or whatever,
I
but
mean, the
really,
whole
really
thing
terrible.
is just awful. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, her fear is getting her period, which means that she could become pregnant, that whole thing.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Well,
Oh.
and it's so, if you think about it, there's a lot going on pointing to that, but it's not the focus of the movie. We're not seeing a child assaulted.
Yeah.
It's much a lighter touch with that.
It's like it has a movie about a clown.
Of course,
a
yeah.
child-eating clown.
How about a more respectful touch?
A surprisingly respectful
Yes.
touch for it.
Yeah.
Which is a great movie, and we need to see it again.
I talked to my friend Rachel. Shout out to Rachel for 2.5 hours about it yesterday.
It's so good.
I want to see it again.
I liked your comment about I could see it getting nominated. The Populist.
Yeah, it would
Academy.
be like the populist vote.
Listen.
If there are 10 Best Picture nominees, it fucking deserves one. Okay.
If District 9 can get one,
it would be the District 9 Dark Knight
yeah.
pick of this year. If so.
And I say that as I love District 9.
But that was just kind of them like paying lip service. Like it isn't gonna win Best Picture, but I think if there are it's a field
if it gets
of 10,
a shout out, yeah,
that'd be amazing. Or at least like cinematography.
Oh, definitely.
Cinematography. Poetic cinema.
Ah, that poetic cinema.
Yes.
Hit me with those neon lights.
Also, we'll probably put in like a warning at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
So in the text or whatever. But other thoughts about Bang Bang Baby?
Not great, Bob.
I agree. It just everyone seemed to be acting in a different movie. Jane Levy was acting in multiple different movies.
Which proves that she can act in anything.
I love her. She's great. Don't Breathe. She carried that whole fucking movie on her back.
We should do an episode about that movie.
I agree.
Which has its problematic moments, but it's so well made.
Yeah. Don't Breathe. That's another one where there's like a really intensely
rapey vibe. And
it did not definitely rape.
It did not need to go there.
No, it didn't. And it was like it went into this really weird ideological place about like reclaiming life and shit. Like it was really fucked up.
Well, look for that episode. Yeah. Look for that fun time.
But I will say when Bobby Shore and her are together, I'm like, this is a great movie. I love this.
So just go on to YouTube and find the clip of the main song.
Yeah, it takes place at a tiki bar. There's like a beat poet who's not doing great.
There's like knockoff Tim and Eric.
Yeah, and there's like people in like short pants doing like the Johnny Bravo monkey and stuff. It's awesome. It's very cool. Stop watching this movie at the wedding.
Yeah.
And then it'll be okay.
Or just don't start watching this movie.
I think there is some of it that is redeemable, but not most of it. I feel like I hate when movies do this thing where halfway through they become something else. And I think it works sometimes. But I always think of The Graduate. Like, I think that's one half of an amazing movie. Because halfway through, they turn Mrs. Robinson into this, like,
Villain.
emotionally unstable, like, terrible person who's just, like, gunning for Benjamin.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I do like the ending, though.
The ending is good, but it's so, like, since when did you fall in love with the daughter? Like,
Yeah.
you definitely didn't. You're just, like, wanting to like, get some reflection of Mrs. Robinson and her. Like, the motivations are really messed up, and I don't understand why anyone's acting like they are, but the first half of it's so good. But, I don't know. And that's considered a classic. Maybe one day Bang Bang Baby will be considered a classic. It's a solid 69 on RT.
Wake me up when that happens. All right,
Can't
so
wake up.
Lynn, tell us about your recommendation of the week.
Ooh, oh man. Can I have one that is genre and one that isn't?
Sure.
Okay. Wyatt is always like, I don't have a horror rec this week.
I like to keep things kind of on topic.
I don't. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
This is our show. We do what we want.
And not yours. That's a reference. Sorry. So my first rec is not good. I'll say that up front.
What?
It is Neo Yokio.
Oh my god.
It is Ezra Koenig from Vampire Weekends. Is that, or is it Koenig?
I don't know.
It's his new anime on Netflix, and it is crazy.
This is a thing that was approved,
put into production,
and got
animated.
Very talented cast.
Oh, its cast includes Jude Law, Jaden Smith, Jason Schwartzman, Susan Sarandon, Steve Buscemi. It is an amazing cast. Oh yeah, Amanda Stenberg and Kiernan Shipka and Willow Smith. It is crazy. But so it revolves around this guy named Kaz, voiced by Jaden Smith, and he is one of the most eligible bachelors in Neo Yokio, which is New York City, basically. But supposedly, centuries ago, in like the mid 1800s, when Neo Yokio was like getting, becoming a major city, all these demon activity was happening, like demonic activity and possessions and shit. So they invited all of these exorcists from the old world to Neo Yokio, and in exchange for becoming citizens, they kind of ridded the city of demons, and so their descendants are now like the upper crust, like high society of Neo Yokio. So Jaden Smith's character...
They look like a bunch of frat boys.
They do. Well, okay, but so the exorcists, they're called the magistocracy. So they're like magic practitioners, but in the aristocracy. And so like Jason Schwartzman isn't, and his crew, they're like old money. And so they all think of the magistocrats as neo-riche or whatever. So it's very like Great Gatsby, like, fuck you. They call them rat catchers if they're like descendants of these like old world exorcists. It's super weird, dude.
I've seen clips on Tumblr and it looks terrible.
It's so odd. I applaud it for being something I've never seen before. I'm thinking back to, there was a review, it was either on Pajiva or Uprocks, which are run by the same guy. But it was a review of Preacher Season 2, and it was like, is it good? Fuck if I know. I don't know. It's fun to watch, though. I literally like cannot make a value judgment.
I feel
on
like
this show.
that sums up a lot of our tastes.
It is. It's like, is it good? Is it bad? I like it. No, that's all that matters. I'll watch it all. I have heard. I'm only on episode 2, but I have heard criticism. It has like the anime trope of like boy turns into girl for a while or whatever, and it's not handled well. And it's very like
aren't there
class.
Also nosebleeds and other such cliches?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know if anyone goes which is like
you
my
really
least favorite anime
you really
thing.
have that down.
I do. But I don't know. I'm watching it right now. The only kind of weird thing about it is, and this is not about the show, which I'll see whether or not the show is like has any redeeming quality. But right now, I'm enjoying it. The main gal is voiced by Tavi Gevinson. Okay, so Tavi Gevinson started a fashion blog called The Style Rookie when she was 14. At 16, she started this website called Rookie, which was about teen girls making content for teen girls, and it was a huge part of my high school life, and it introduced me to feminism, and I learned all about some of my favorite books and music and you know, badass ladies and punk bands all through that website.
That's cool.
It was awesome. It's still going. It has like multiple books of like the best articles.
Oh,
like,
wow.
They're called the yearbooks. I have them in my bedroom. But so she's rad. But when she was like 18, she dated Ezra Koenig, and he was like 36, which was creepy to me. But no, she dated Ezra Koenig, which was weird.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now he cast her in this anime as like a teen style blogger. So, who is the love
Art
interest
imitates life.
of Jaden Smith? So that's weird. Anyway, I'm in the middle of it. I don't know. It may be terrible, but it's enjoyable to watch. How's that? It's different.
It's wild.
And my second one would be The Mick, which I'm catching up on Hulu. This is the completely non-genre one, but it's a really, really funny sitcom that I like. Is so surprisingly weird and violent and dark sometimes.
Doesn't this have ties to another surprisingly weird and violent show of yours?
I think you're going somewhere. No,
I think there's a path where I'm going.
It is a known fact that I'm obsessed with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and this is Caitlin Olsen's show. Caitlin plays Dee on Always Sunny, but now she has a show on Fox, and it's really fucking hilarious. And what's funny is in an episode of Sunny called The Gang Saves the Day, where they go into each of theirs like fantasies, she becomes like a sitcom butler on a show called Covington's House, and she has to take care of like these rich kids, and she like becomes like a member of the family, which is exactly what happens on The Mick. It's like the exact same plot as Covington's House, but it's really, really funny, and I'm loving it. So get on that. It's expiring on Hulu. Do it. Wyatt, what do you think?
About my recommendations?
Yeah.
Well, I have lots to think about.
Okay. You look like you're crying a little. Or was that just yawning?
Whenever I yawn, my eyes significantly water. And so I'm always around people and it looks like I'm crying, but really I'm just bored.
I thought it was just because I started talking about Sunny and you like immediately start weeping because you're like not about
Not
it.
again. Well,
anyway.
So this past Friday, while you and Anna Louise were off
oh my god,
hobnobbing with the artist world off at a gala, I took myself on the afternoon to go see.
I'm disassociating also.
I went to go see Mother. So it was me and this random couple that sat like 3 rows in front of me, and the 3 of us experienced something. So as you all probably know, a deeply divisive movie.
Got that F cinema score though.
Mm-hmm. I love this movie.
Our boss keeps asking me if she needs to go see it. And I said, maybe wait for the DVD, Anna.
It's insane.
Okay.
This movie is bonkers. The movie ended.
We can spoil it. Spoiler alert for Mother.
Mother.
Buster Bluth voice. Mother!
The movie ended, and like the couple looked back at me, and we all just kind of went.
Oh, stop!
And we all walked out laughing because we had no clue what to expect. This movie is 2 hours long.
Almost like a full movie.
Almost. One would say. The first hour and a half is basically if Cronenberg, when he was directing A History of Violence, invited David Lynch to shoot random scenes because there's some very
You just said a lot of stuff that I'm having trouble processing, but go on.
and then so that's the first hour and a half. The next 20 minutes are like Children of Men
Okay.
meets Snowpiercer,
You're putting a lot of different references in together.
and then the final 10
Are you
minutes.
saying it's Snowpiercer because they eat a baby? I know they eat a fucking baby.
They
in
do
this
eat a
movie,
baby.
Okay.
They do, but that's in the final 10 minutes. But the final 10 minutes are anyone's guess. It's just insane, and I can't. Like that's my biggest selling point about it.
I know two things about this movie.
Yes,
They eat a baby,
that happens.
and Kristen Wiig comes in with a machine gun.
No,
That doesn't happen?
she does come in, and later on she executes a bunch of people, but no machine gun.
Okay. Interesting. I really wanted to see that this weekend, but
Mhm.
I am prioritizing self-care this weekend
Well-
and not doing it.
This was like a bad acid trip.
Okay. Except all very sepia-toned.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a fan of Aronofsky's films.
Aronofsky.
Aronofsky's.
Darren Aronofsky.
I'm a fan of the Darren.
Okay.
I've liked all of his movies I've seen. This movie is also, I would call it Metaphor, the movie, in all caps.
I saw a picture of Darren Aronofsky with a cigarette and being like, "It's a metaphor, Hazel Grace."
Yeah, that's about right. Like, he's super pretentious, and
Oh,
this
yeah,
movie
yeah.
is super pretentious.
Also, he's like dating Jennifer Lawrence
Mhm.
now. There's a huge age difference, and they only started dating after they shot this movie, which I would not trust.
Ugh.
I don't
That's
trust
icky.
any man, but I certainly don't trust Darren Aronofsky.
Well, I still think he's a good director.
Okay.
I just hope it doesn't come out that he's pulled a Woody Allen.
Ew. Ew. When will he
Um,
die?
This
Also-
movie is
go ahead.
a big metaphor for environmentalism.
Okay.
Because Jennifer Lawrence in the movie represents Mother Earth. Javier Bardem represents God.
Okay. That's how I think God looks, is Javier Bardem. Like a young Javier Bardem.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. And it's basically just humans ruining the earth, ruining Mother Nature's house.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Did it live up to that trailer that we saw before it?
No, like I'm
That is the funniest
staggered.
thing that's ever happened.
I mean, well, yes, I will always remember Mother because
Okay.
of the aforementioned insanity.
hmm
But how this movie got a wide release is beyond me.
Oh, it's like name recognition. If they
Mhm.
didn't have J Law, wouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the trailer we saw before it, it was for Mother, and they showed next to none of the actual footage of the film. They were like, "The scariest movie you'll see all year.
It
Go
was-
into the lobby and buy tickets for Mother."
It was an awful selling point.
It was so weird. It was like just a bunch of like all caps title cards.
Yeah,
The greatest movie of the year.
you'll never forget where you were.
Unforgettable. It's so weird.
Well, I mean, yes.
But they were trying to sell it to a wide audience that
Oh
would go
yeah.
see it.
People. This is not like a general population horror movie.
Oh yeah, it's just for you, just for the
Nope.
smart ones.
It is
It's
just-
like Rick and Morty. It's you have to have an IQ to like
Jesus
enjoy it.
Christ. Fuck off. I hate those people who ruin things like that.
Oh yeah, me too. Well, the thing is, when we were in class, I really want to know if Jeff went to see it.
I think everyone should see this movie just because of the what the fuck factor.
Yeah. Well, we were in class and we were talking about it, and somebody was like, "I don't know, I didn't think it was that great," and I'm like, "You're wrong." Well, I know who it is, but I'm
Oh, yeah.
protecting his
That's right.
his anonymity because so many people listen to this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But our professor was like, "I don't know. Do you think I'd like it? I only like artsy art house horror movies." And then he said, "It Follows."
I mean, that
And
is
I'm
an
like,
artsy movie.
It's not an art house horror movie. It got a wide release. Like what? And he was like, The Witch, and I'm like, that also got a wide release.
I saw
Bro,
all of those
What?
in Bricktown.
Yeah, like at a downtown movie theater,
Mhm.
like multiplex. So I like artsy horror movie. He sounded like me when I was like 16. It was hilarious, and I'm like, wait and see Mother then. So I want to know.
Oh my god. yes, I think everyone should see Mother. I think it is insufferable and amazing.
I've specifically told people not to see.
Oh, God.
Like, I'm gonna single-handedly make the box office go down.
Well done.
Thank you. Go see it again, and go see My Sons. Also, oh my God, all of the like behind-the-scene Vine videos that they have made are the
Those children
funniest
are
things.
comedic geniuses.
I will never be that funny in my life, let alone when I was 11.
Mm-hmm.
They're so funny.
They are.
Hilarious. Also,
They are the children of Vine.
yeah, my friend tagged me the other day in this tweet from that Finn Wolfhard boy, and he was like, "No, I do not have a girlfriend. I'm just a baby boy." And I'm like, me at Thanksgiving. I'm just a baby boy.
Just a baby boy.
Don't impose that on me. Back off, creeps.
Have you seen the Pennywise dancing Twitter account?
Wait, of course I've seen the GIF, but like where just they put it on different songs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's just a Twitter feed full of them, and they all fit perfectly. Pennywise dancing is the new Oscar Isaac dancing in Ex Machina.
Ooh, okay. Or that GIF of Snoop Dogg with the chalice where he's like,
I'm unfamiliar with that, but sure.
I can't believe you're unfamiliar. No, I love those kids. Also, he looks like Dwayne from the Everything is Terrible video. It's this. Anyway, look it up. It's like head isolated, this little boy named Dwayne, and he's getting it, and his head is like motion stabilized. It looks exactly like that.
Oh my God.
Anyway, we're getting off the rails a little bit.
Okay.
You know Dwayne.
I know. I've seen comparisons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other things. Is there anything happening in the horror world you want to talk about right now?
Well, I got nothing.
Okay.
Go see Mother.
Don't.
Everyone see Mother. Mother.
If you go see Mother, send your PayPal request to Wyatt for emotional distress.
Or just send angry tweets. Feel free to @ me.
What is your Twitter?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. Look up Wyatt Leslie. Look him up. Find his home where he lives.
This is not something you should encourage on the internet.
No, I think he's gonna edit this part out.
I sure am.
Well, anyway, this was a good episode.
This was a good discussion.
Would you recommend Bang Bang Baby?
No.
Me neither. I would recommend you go and watch like a YouTube compilation of the songs.
Just watch the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer's great. Watch the trailer for 2 hours.
And then go watch a better musical or a better horror.
Yeah. We do need more musical horror though.
There's some. There's a British zombie Christmas musical coming out soon.
I'm about it.
And it looked delightful.
Mm-hmm. That's really an underserved genre though, I think. They do have like traveling productions of the Evil Dead musical and Reanimator musical. Yeah, I had a friend who saw it in St. Louis, and yeah, it was amazing.
It came to Tulsa.
What?
Yeah,
Bro.
I think I was in like early college or even high school, so it's been a while.
Well, it's all on YouTube. There are like videos of it. So watch like the Evil Dead musical where there's a song called I think What the Fuck, right?
What the fuck was that?
Yeah. What the fuck was that? And then there's a Reanimator one. So.
Oh, that sounds wild.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna do that movie.
Those live musicals, so they have splash zones.
I know. I love it.
I would love to sit in those.
Oh, how amazing. Okay, so I don't think there's anything else. Thanks for listening this week.
Next week is in October, is it?
It is.
It is.
We're starting October next week.
Our October specials.
It is going to be lit. We're gonna have two things to talk about on every week. I think next week is The Guest and an episode of Boy Meets World. Wife was like, why the fuck did you get rid of a movie and put in Boy Meets World?
Because you got rid of Monster Squad.
We re-added in Monster Squad. Okay, don't worry about it.
I fought for it.
But yeah, it's an episode called And Then There Was Sean, and it is like a spoof of Scream.
This will be my first Boy Meets World.
Dude,
episode.
Boy Meets World was my shit as a kid. I loved it. I loved Eric.
What?
But Jennifer Love Hewitt guest stars. It's like a slasher movie version of the show. It's really funny. So, two of our favorite things next week. It's gonna
Two
be
of
great.
Lynn's favorite things.
You like The Guest.
I've never seen it.
Okay. Two of my favorite things, and soon to be two of Wyatt's favorite thing. It's gonna be lit.
I'm excited about The Guest.
Yes. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
He behaved like a man demented, obsessed, utterly lost.